on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOCDALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer, and big thanks to y'all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or X at Dr. Daliah, Facebook, The Dr. Daliah Show, or on YouTube. Click like and subscribe. So one of the busiest and most tumultuous branches of law is the family court. Whether it's divorce, alimony, parental rights, termination of parental rights, guardianship, so many issues. And our family court judges, God bless them, they have a tall order. And some of the things that they have to address and deal with is it's fascinating. But we need the best people on the bench. Joining us next is Judge Paul Gaudet, Family Court Department N in Clark County, Nevada. And Judge Gaudet is going to talk to us about family court and what we need to do to make sure we're getting the best judges on the benches. Judge Gaudet, thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning, Dr. D. How are you?
Good. Well, we appreciate you, but I can't emphasize enough the importance of family court. Talk to us about what family court is.
Well, I tell people this. The harsh reality of American life nowadays is that 1 out of 2 marriages are going to end in divorce, okay? And what I do is I'm a district court judge, and our district court bench is divided into 3 divisions. We have a criminal division, we have a civil division, and we have a family division. And if you look at the statistics, I think they pretty much clarify that if you ever have involvement with the district court here in Clark County, which is basically our trial court, it is far more likely that your involvement will be with the family court division or the family division over the criminal or the civil division. So it's very, very important. I tell people all the time, look, if you're married, raise your hand. If you have children, raise your hand. If you have grandchildren, raise your hand. If you have moms and dads, raise your hand. If you have brothers and sisters, raise your hand, because in raising your hand, that will show you just how important it is for us to have competent family court judges, because it's much more likely that if you have to appear before the district court, you're going to be appearing before the family division of the the district court.
I mean, you see so many cases. Can you comment on what are some of the most common reasons for divorce? Is it just irreconcilable differences? Is it somebody cheated? What are you seeing in the
Here in Nevada, we still do have grounds for divorce. We have several, but everything's lumped into one catch-all phrase, and that tends to be the parties are incompatible in marriage. I tell people this is just one person's take. I mean, I hear all sorts of stories: cheating, drug abuse, physical abuse, alcoholism, extensive gambling. But honestly, it all boils down to a common characteristic, if you ask me, and that's a failure to communicate. And that's really what these things boil down to. We have people getting married and our people having children that just fail to communicate in regards to relationship issues, marriage issues, and child issues. And that failure to communicate is quite often referred to as the grounds of incompatibility, and that's a sufficient grounds for us to be able to proceed with the divorce in the state of Nevada.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people don't understand how to be married, or they think, well, if you had a fight, now we're not compatible. Or I don't think a lot of people understand, that marriages do take work. We kind of have the sentiment these days of it's too much work to have a baby. It's too much work to do a job. It's too much work to be married. But that's kind of the norm. And I just get the feeling that many people got divorced that didn't necessarily need to be because their expectations were off.
Yeah, you sort of hit the nail on the head. I actually tell people this in court quite often. You come before the family division, you allege that you're incompatible in marriage. Boom, that's a grounds for divorce. You wake up 6 years from now, you wake up 12 years from now, you wake up 15 years from now, and you realize that the issues that I or we saw as being insurmountable were really not that difficult of issues to get through. And guess what it gets back to, Dr. D? It gets back to the inability to communicate on those marital issues. So yeah, I think you sort of hit the nail on the head. We always perceive the problems that we experience on a day-to-day basis to be larger than those problems probably are. and we always foresee that the grass is greener on the other side. And as life moves on, sometimes we learn that the grass is not greener on the other side. But it's
Exactly.
the reality. What I don't deal. I'm not a marriage counselor. I'm a judge. So when they bring the grounds before me and they prove the grounds, my job is not to necessarily question the grounds. My job is to get them through the system and on with life.
And you do that so well, Judge. We really appreciate you and your ethics and how you've done your job. And one of the reasons why I'm glad you're on today is when we look at this election coming up, voters are really concerned about what they've heard in California and other states where if their child, let's say, doesn't transition, they could lose custody of that child. Or if they don't, and people don't want to lose their children who really love their parents. And it looks like it's going to take the family judges to be the ones to stop some of that insanity. I mean, if a child is abused, that's one thing, but it seems like it's a little political ploy, and it's a weapon being used against parents who might not be going with the narrative.
Yeah, the reality of the situation is, as a family court judge, I quite often have to resolve issues that parents are unable to resolve. And what you're talking about, what you're getting into there is a custodial issue. There's two types of custody. There's legal custody and there's physical custody. Legal custody involves hopefully joint decisions that are going to serve a child's best interest. Physical custody involves where a child lives on a given day at a given time. And yeah, quite often we as district court judges, we have to step in and we have to resolve what I refer to as legal custodial issues when parents can't agree as to what's going to be in their child's best interest. And yeah, a lot of these issues are being made political issues, but it's I made a commitment when the issues come before me. I try to be as objective as I possibly can. I try to be as fair as I possibly can. Of course, I listen to the facts and I apply the law, and I'm allowed to take into account my personal experiences of life, and that's how we make these decisions as judges, taking into account all those things.
Well, God bless you for that. So an election's coming up. And voters need to actually elect. They have to vote for a judge. How do people make a decision? Because they'll see the names. They might not have never been in court, but voters have a big decision to make when it comes to, who to put on the bench. What should voters be looking at and contemplating and taking into account when they vote this November?
Well, first off, I get asked this in the campaign trail quite often. Is our system here in Nevada the best system, the electoral system? Is that the best system for judges? Honestly, I got to say no. I can think of some systems that would be better. However, the system is what the system is, and we have an electoral system here in Nevada. I would tell the voters this: please recognize when you go into the voters' booth that the importance of having qualified, experienced people making decisions that are going to affect families' lives. It's very, very important. What I would tell, we don't have a whole bunch of resources to find out much information on judges here in Nevada, which is somewhat ironic because with the electoral process, you think we have all sorts of resources, but we don't. What I would tell people is this: look into the individual. Okay, anybody running is going to have a website. Anybody running is going to have campaign information available. Look for a couple of things. Look for experience in the field of practicing law. Look for experience as having been a judge previously. And look for experience in the area of law that a candidate or sitting judge is going to be practicing. Now, in my case, it was a little differently. It was a little different. I didn't take the bench initially from an election. I took the bench as a judge who was appointed by the governor of the state of Nevada. And I think that actually leads to a little better system. I went through an application process. I went through an interview process. I went through a vetting process through what I'm going to refer to as our the Nevada Judicial Selection Committee, I think is the actual name of the group. From there, they they took candidates, 3 candidates, and that they selected and forwarded those candidates on to the governor's office. The governor's office then goes through an interview process, another vetting process before making the appointment. So I think your listeners should take that into consideration. Also, look for those people who have been vetted, who someone has made a determination that they are qualified to serve in the role as district court judge, and give some weight to that. In addition to that, we have a couple of sites. We have Our Nevada Judges. It's a site here in the state of Nevada that gives you some information on judges. I honestly don't know if they give you any information on candidates, but they do give you information on judges. The Review Journal used to do a judging the judges poll.
Yeah. So sorry, we're out of time. Where can people find out your website?
My website is Gaudet, Gaudet, for judge.com. GaudetforJudge.com. All my information is on there. Reach out with any questions. I answer them all myself.
Awesome. Thank you, Judge Gaudet. Can't wait to have you back.